I'm going to talk about the acceptance and adoption of continuous auditing by internal auditors, a macro analysis. So basically, this paper conducted interviews with 22 internal audit managers and 16 internal audit staff members at 9 leading internal audit organizations. So previously, some related research only used surveys to investigate how the internal auditors um, perceive about the continuous auditing. But this paper actually doing a real interview, like a face to face, ask some questions and disclose what internal auditors actually use continuous auditing in their firm. So yeah, so this is a trend showing that actually there's more practitioners and the software vendors focus more on continuous auditing instead of researchers. Um, so, um, so this paper considers details of how the awareness of continuous auditing translates into an impact on internal audit practice. So, So yeah, that information cannot be obtained by a generic survey and instead must be gathered by an on-site inspection and by detailed interviews with the internal auditors. So the interviews were conducted face to face and lasted a total of at least 3 to 4 hours per company. So the guide used in the interviews it's master interview guide, and so this guide is trying to set a floor on the scope instead of a ceiling. And also a median for crystallizing the research objectives of the study. Yeah, the firms selected in this study was based on 2 criteria. So the first one is anecdotally considered to be experienced users of continuous auditing systems and also span a broad range of businesses. So of course, these firms are not randomly chosen. So the aim here is not analyze firms that use continuous auditing versus those that don't, but rather to study that and the experience and motivations of the firms that have adopted continuous auditing. And this is the guide used in the in during the interviews. So it's called technology acceptance model. Basically, consists of 2 aspects. So the first is perceived usefulness, which is the degree to which a person believes that using a particular system would enhance his or her job performance. And the other one is perceived ease of use, which is the degree to which a person believes that using a particular system would be free from effort. Um, yeah, so they are using the open-ended interview technique to obtain an in-depth understanding of internal auditors' attitudes towards continuous auditing. And this is the questions asked during the interviews. So these questions are about the perceived usefulness, and this is the ease of usefulness. So questions could be like, what barriers were there in using the CA or CM tools effectively and efficiently? And these questions are about the overview and process related questions. So it divided into different aspects. So for example, could be usage characteristics, like what kinds of transactions can be analyzed using CA or CM. Um, so this paper uses a product life cycle, which is very normal in the marketing theory. So you could see that as so in the first stage is when the product firstly launched in the market, and so people in the stage one there are only few people who adopt it or use it. So they're innovators, but as the life cycle goes, you can see there are more and more people who are going to use it. And the last one is the decline. So it's a very traditional product life cycle. So, however, as the product life cycle goes, the products itself is going to change. So we want to see is it more consistent with the type of innovative product used by an early adopter, or is it a more widely applied mature systems that would appeal to a mainstream customer? So we want to distinguish the where the continuous auditing systems are. So we develop an audit maturity model. So for each stage, we're gonna see the seven categories. So this is the four stages, and you can see the audit objectives, audit approach. So all the seven categories actually are different for each stage. So you can see traditional audit is, like the objectives, or here it's much easier to tell. So it's case by cases basis. But when it comes to full continuous audit, it's complete data access and also the full population testing. So that's the different. So according to these features, we can see that for most companies, the continuous auditing is still in the preliminary stage, and so and all the companies in the study have specific divisions to monitor and ensure the compliance. So the continuous auditing system can also be used for SOX compliance purpose. So not only internal control purposes. And most of the companies prefer experienced staff to join their organizations because they will save time for training. Um, So yeah, one factor that could be a barrier for CA or CM implementation is perceived cost, which is the perception of managers on the setup and going costs of continuous auditing and continuous monitoring implementation. And as you can see, so for different industry, there's different level of implementing the continuous auditing. So this is some results about continuous auditing maturity model. So I'm gonna So yeah, so these are for the seven categories. And the conclusion here is that, as I mentioned before, they're still in the very preliminary stage, and so there's opportunity for development in the future. So the main limitation for this paper is the generalization. So it's only 9 firms. And for future research, it could be a structural survey research and follow-up interviews with organizations. So that's it. Thank you.